Seems you need a doctor. Don't worry, I'm here to take care of you. I will be your acting physician as of today. I will make sure to take great care of you. Oh, don't struggle. Those restraints are there for your protection. Your nurse will be here shortly to tend to you before your surgery. I'll make sure to fix you up just right.
Hello. You look hurt. Can I help you? Don't worry that you can't talk. I will be your acting nurse. I am here to assist you in any way that I can. I won't let you escape from here. So, lay back, relax, and enjoy your time under my tender, loving care. Oh, how unfortunate for you to have been caught by them. But I can make a deal with you. How about it? Oh, you should hear me out before shaking your head no. Come now. You'll really like this deal. I promise. Especially if you want to get out of here in one piece. Well, what a good decision you've made. You won't regret it at all. Your soul will be so much fun to corrupt.
Seems you need a doctor. Don't worry, I'm here to take care of you. I will be your acting physician as of today.
All right. So mic's on. All good. We're good. We're set. Yes. So, I'm gonna be reading stories with my crappy ability to read. Why I torture myself? That's a good question. Don't have an answer for you. Alright. But hello! How is everyone? I hope you're all doing well. My shadows kind of bug me. Don't worry, don't mind me. Actually, wait. You gotta have the right lighting. There we go. The right lighting for this situation. Add the extra. Actually, this hold on. Let me see if I can fix this. I don't like some of this lighting. No. Why is lighting so hard? Whatever. It's good enough. It's creepy. What I'm going for. I think I succeeded. Okay, good enough. But I hope everyone's doing well. I'm doing good. Alright. Let me pull up the stories. So I will take the requests as time goes on. So I'm gonna start with Russian sleep experiment because I like this one. So, the Russian sleep experiment. Let me see if I can find who it's by. Does it say? Nope, it says original author is unknown. Fantastic. Hi, how are you doing? So, yeah, if you guys find a story that you would like for me to read, just let me know and I will hopefully find it and read it. There have been times where I was unable to find said stories, so that happens. I'm sorry, I have no control of that. So yes. Let's start. The Russian sleep experiment. Russian researchers in the late 1940s kept 5 people awake for 15 days using experimental gas-based stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas didn't kill them. Since it was toxic in high concentrations, that should be very, very tough. This was before closed circuit cameras, so they only had microphones and 5-inch thick glass porthole sized windows to look into the chamber to monitor them. The chamber was stocked with books, cots to sleep on, but no bedding, running water, and toilet. Hello, cat! Welcome, welcome. And enough dried food to last all 5 men for over a month. The test subjects were political prisoners deemed enemies of the state during World War II. Everything was fine for the first 5 days. The subjects hardly complained, having been promised falsely that they would be freed if they submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days. Their conversations and activities were monitored, and it was noted that they continued to talk about increasingly traumatic incidents in their past, and the general tone of their conversations took on a darker aspect after the 4-day mark. After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were, and started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternately whispering to the microphones and one-way mirror portals. Oddly, they all seemed to think they could win the trust of the experimenters by turning over their comrades, the other subjects in captivity with them. At first, the researchers suspected this was an effect of the gas itself. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber repeatedly, yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight. He continued attempting to scream, but was only able to produce occasional squeaks. The researchers postulated that he had physically torn his vocal cords. The most surprising thing about this behavior is how the other captives reacted to it. Or rather, they didn't. They continued whispering to the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. The 2 non-screaming captives took the books apart, smeared page after page with their own feces, and pasted them calmly over the glass portholes. The screaming promptly stopped. So did the whispering microphones. After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure they were working, since they thought it impossible that no sound could be coming with 5 people inside. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 must surely be alive. In fact, the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a very heavy level of strenuous exercise. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they said they would not do to get a reaction from the captives. They used the intercoms inside the chamber, hoping to provoke any response from the captives. They were afraid were either dead or vegetables. They announced, "We are opening the chamber door to test the microphones. Step away from the doors and lie flat on the floor, or you will be shot. Compliance will earn one of you your immediate freedom." To the surprise, they heard a single phrase in a calm voice respond, "We no longer want to be freed." Debate broke out among the researchers and the military forces funding the research. Unable to provoke any more response using intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. The chamber was flushed of the stimulant gas and filled with fresh air, and immediately the voices from the microphones began to object. 3 different voices began begging, as if pleading for the life of loved ones, to turn the gas back on. The chamber was opened, and soldiers sent into retreat to test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, And so did the soldiers when they saw what was inside. 4 of the 5 subjects were still alive, although no one could rightly recall the state of any of them in life. The food rations past day 5 had not been so much as touched. There were chunks of meat from the dead test subjects' thighs and chest stuffed into the drain in the center of the chamber, blocking the drain and allowing 4 inches of water to accumulate on the floor. Precisely how much of the water on the floor was actually blood was never determined. All 4 surviving subjects also had large portions of muscle and skin ripped from their bodies. The destruction of flesh and exposed bone on their fingertips indicated that the wounds were inflicted by hand, not teeth, as the researchers initially thought on first look. Closer examination of the position and angles of the wounds indicated that most, if not all of them, were self-inflicted. The abdominal organs began below the ribcage of all 4 test subjects had been removed. While the heart of the 4th test subject had been removed, while the heart, lungs, and diaphragm remained in place. The skin and much of the muscle attached to the ribs had been ripped away, exposing the lungs through the ribcage. All the blood vessels and organs remained intact. They had been taken out and laid on the floor, fanning out across the eviscerated but still living bodies of the subjects remaining. The digestive traces of all 4 could be seen to be working, digesting food. It quickly became apparent that what they were digesting was their own flesh that they had ripped off and eaten over the course of days. Most of the soldiers were Russian special operatives at the facility, but still many refused to return to the chamber to remove the test subjects. Hello, Jules! How are you doing? They continued to scream to be left in the chamber, and alternatively begged and demanded that the gas be turned back on, lest they fall asleep. Most of the soldiers were Russians. Oh, I already read that part. Well, I hope things get better for you. Yes, it has. Hold on. Another 5 soldiers lost their lives if you count the one that committed suicide in the weeks following the incident. In the struggle, one of 4 living subjects had his spleen ruptured and he bled out almost immediately. The medical researchers attempted to sedate him, but this proved impossible. Ooh, I hope you feel better soon. He was injected with more than 10 times the normal dose of morphine derivative and still fought like a cornered animal, breaking the rib and arm of one doctor. When the heart beat for a full 2 minutes after he had bled out to the point there was more air in his vascular system than blood. Even after it stopped, he continued to scream and flail for another 3 minutes. struggling to attack anyone in reach, and repeating the word more over again until it became so weak and faint before falling silent. The surviving test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to a medical facility. The two with intact vocal cords continuously begged for the gas, demanding to be kept away. The most injured of the three was taken to the only surgical operating room that the facility had. In the process of preparing the subject to have his organs placed back within his body, it was found that he was effectively immune to the sedatives that they had given him to prepare him for surgery. He fought ferociously against his restraints when the anesthetic gas was brought out to put him under. He managed to tear most of the way through a 4-inch thick wide leather strap on his wrist. Thank you, thank you. I quite like the little dragon as well. From one wrist, even though the weight of a 200-pound soldier holding that wrist as well took only a little more anesthetic than normal to put him under, and the instant his eyes closed, his heart stopped. In the autopsy done on the subject, thank you, I appreciate that. In the autopsy done on the test subject that died on the operating table, it was found that his blood had tripled the normal levels of oxygen. His muscles that were still attached to his skeleton were badly torn, and he had 9 broken bones in his struggle to not be subdued. Most of them were from the force that his own muscles had exerted on them. Oh, I like dragons too. I actually have a dragon model. You haven't seen her yet, but maybe one time that you stop by, you'll be able to see her. The second survivor had been the first of the group of 5 to start screaming. His vocal cords were destroyed. He was unable to beg or object to surgery, and he only reacted by shaking his head violently in disapproval when the anesthetic gas was brought near him. He shook his head yes when someone suggested reluctantly that they tried surgery without anesthetic, and did not react for the 6-hour procedure of replacing his abdominal organs and attempting to cover them with what remained of his skin. The surgeon presiding stated repeatedly that it should be medically impossible for the patient to still be alive. One terrified nurse assisting the surgery stated that she had seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met hers. When the surgery ended, the subject looked at the surgeon and began to wheeze loudly, attempting to talk while struggling. Assuming this must be something of drastic importance, the surgeon... Oh, I do not have a command for Raid 100. So no, it does not work. Assuming this must be something of drastic importance, the surgeon had a pen and pad fetched so the patient could write his message. It was simple. It said, keep cutting. Hello, Ems. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. The other 2 test subjects were given the same surgery, both without anesthetic as well, although they had to be injected with a paralytic for the duration of the operation. The surgeon found it impossible to perform the operation while the patients laughed continuously. Once paralyzed, the subjects could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared their system in an abnormally short period of time, and they were soon trying to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak, they were again asking for the stimulant gas. The researchers tried asking why they had injured themselves, why they had ripped out their own guts, and why they wanted to be given the gas again. Only one response was ever given. Oh, thank you for the hydrate. Only one response was ever given. I must remain awake. Mod hydrate. All mods must drink up. And there's a chat hydrate too. All 3 subjects' restraints were reinforced, and they were placed back into the chamber, awaiting determination as to what should be done with them. The researchers, facing the wrath of their military benefactors for having failed the state goals of their project, considered euthanizing the surviving subjects. The commanding officer and ex-KGB instead saw potential and wanted to see what would happen if they were put back on the gas. The researchers strongly objected but were overruled. In preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor and had their restraints padded for long-term confinement. To everyone's surprise, all 3 stopped struggling the moment it was let slip that they were going back on the gas. It was obvious that at this point, all 3 were putting up a great struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects that could speak was humming loudly and continuously. The mute subject was straining his legs against the leather bonds with all his might. First left, then the right, then the left again, just for something to focus on. The remaining subject was holding his head off the pillow and blinking rapidly. Having been the first to be wired for the EEG, most of the researchers were monitoring his brain waves in absolute surprise. They were normal most of the time, but sometimes flatlined inexplicably. It looked as if he were repeatedly suffering brain death before returning to normal. As they focused on paper scrolling out of the brainwave monitor, only one nurse saw his eyes slip shut. At the same moment, his head fell out. His brainwaves immediately changed to that of deep sleep, then flatlined for the rest of the time. as his heart simultaneously stopped. The only remaining subject that could speak started screaming to be sealed in now. His brainwave showed the same flat lines as the one who had just died from falling asleep. The commander gave the order to seal the chamber with both subjects inside as well as the 3 researchers. One of the named 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander point blank in the eyes, then turned the gun on the mute subject and blew his brains out as well. He pointed his gun at the remaining subject, still restrained in the bed that remained, as the remaining members of the medical and research team fled the room. I won't be locked in here with these things, not with you, he screamed as the man strapped to his table. What are you? He demanded. I must know. The subject smiled and replied, Have you forgotten so easily? The subject asked. We're you. We're the madness that lives within you all, begging to be freed at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis. We go to the nocturnal haven we cannot tread. When the researcher paused, then he took aim at the subject's heart and fired. The EEG flatlined as the subject weakly choked out. So nearly free. Alright, so that was the first one. I hope you all enjoyed that. This is probably one of my favorite creepypastas to read. So, if you guys do have a recommendation, you can say so now. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to another one that I find. I gotta fix myself. I've been leaning over. There we go. But yeah, that's a fun creepypasta. Can you tell I like my scary stories? I think there's one other iteration of the Russian sleep experiment one. I think in the other iteration, the soldiers actually, once they enter and they see what happens, is that they kill everyone. So I think that's the other iteration. I could be wrong, I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So, yeah. Alright. So on to the next one. So this is a cryptid one. It's The Rake. Let me see, does it say who it's by? I don't see who it's by. It says new content is available under CC by SA. So I don't think that's who this story is by. You know, written by whoever. So it's unfortunate that a lot of these stories you don't find who the original author is. But anyways, if you guys think of a story that you would like me to read while I'm reading this one, please do let me know, and I will look for it, but on to this one. During the summer of 2003, events in the northeast United States involving a strange, human-like creature sparked brief local media interest before an apparent blackout was enacted. Little to no information was left intact, as most online and written accounts of the creature were mysteriously destroyed. Primarily focused in rural New York State and once found in Idaho, self-proclaimed witnesses told stories of their encounter with a creature of unknown origin. Emotions ranged from extremely traumatic levels of fright and discomfort to an almost childlike sense of playfulness and curiosity. While their published versions were no longer on record, the memories remained powerful. Several of the involved parties began looking for answers that year. In early 2006, the collaboration had accumulated nearly 24 documents dating between the 12th century and present day, spanning 4 continents. In almost all cases, the stories were identical. I've been in contact with a member of this group and was able to get some excerpts of their upcoming book. Suicide Note, 1964. As I prepared to take my life, I felt it necessary to assuage any guilt or pain I have introduced through this act. It is not of my fault, of anyone other than him. For once I awoke and felt his presence, and once I awoke and saw his form. Once again I awoke and heard his voice, and I looked into his eyes. I cannot sleep without fear of what I might next awake to experience. I cannot ever wait. Goodbye. Found in the same wooden box were 2 empty envelopes addressed to William and Rose, and one loose personal letter with no envelope. Dearest Linny, I have prayed for you. He spoke your name. Journal entry translated from Spanish, 1880. I have experienced great terror, and I have experienced the greatest terror. I have experienced the greatest terror. I see his eyes when I close mine. They are hollow, black. They see me and pierced me. His wet hand. I will not sleep. His voice. A Mariner's Log, 1691. He came in my sleep. From the foot of my bed, I felt a sensation. He took everything. We must return to England. We shall not return here again at the request of the rape. From a witness, 2006. 3 years ago, I had just returned from a trip from the Niagara Falls with my family for the 4th of July. We were all very exhausted after a long day of driving. So my husband and I put the kids right to bed and called it a night. At about 4 a.m., I woke thinking my husband had gotten up to use the restroom. I used the moment to steal back the sheets, only to wake to him in the process. I apologized and told him I thought he got out of bed. When he turned to face me, he gasped and pulled his feet up from the end of the bed so quickly his knees nearly knocked me out of the bed. He then grabbed me and said nothing. After adjusting to the dark for half a second, I was able to see what caused the strange reaction at the foot of the bed. Sitting and facing away from us, there was what appeared to be a naked man, or a large hairless dog of some sort. Its body position was disturbing and unnatural, as if it had been hit by a car or something. For some reason, I was not instantly frightened by it, but more concerned as to its condition. At this point, I was somewhat under the assumption that we were supposed to help him. My husband was peering over his arm and knee, tucked in the fetal position, occasionally glancing at me before returning to the creature at the foot of our bed. In a flurry of motion, the creature scrambled around the side of the bed and then crawled quickly in a flailing sort of motion right along the bed until it was less than a foot away from my husband's face. The creature was completely silent for 30 seconds. It just looked at my husband. The creature then placed its hand on his knee, then ran away into the hallway, leading to the kids' rooms. I screamed and ran for the light switch, planning to stop him before he could hurt my children. When I got to the hallway, the light from the bedroom was enough to see it crouching, hunched over, about 20 feet away. He turned around and looked directly at me, covered in blood. I flipped the switch on in the hallway, saw my daughter, Clara. The creature ran down the stairs, and my husband and I rushed to help our daughter. She was fairly badly injured and spoke only once more in her short life. She said, "He is the right." My husband drove his car into the lake that night while rushing our daughter to the hospital. They did not survive. Being a small town, news got around pretty quick. Police were helpful at first, and the local newspaper took a lot of interest as well. However, the story was never published, and the local television news never followed up either. For several months, my son Justin and I stayed in a hotel near my parents' house. After we decided to return home, I began looking for answers myself. I eventually found a local man in the town next to ours who had a similar story. We got in contact and began talking about our experiences. We knew 2 other people in New York who had seen the creature we now refer to as the Wraith. It took the 4 of us about 2 solid years of hunting on the internet and writing letters to come up with a small collection of what we believe the accounts of the Wraith. None of them gave any details, history, or follow-up. One journal had an entry involving the creature. In its first 3 pages, and never mentioned again. A ship's log explained nothing of the encounter, saying only they were told to leave by the Wraith. And that was the last entry in the log. However, many instances where the creature visits was one of a series of visits with the same person. Multiple people also mentioned being spoken to, my daughter included. This led us to wonder if the great had visited any of us before our last encounter. I set up a digital recorder in my bed and left it running all night, every night, for 2 weeks. I would tediously scan seconds of me rolling around in my bed each night when I woke up. By the end of the second week, I was quite used to the occasional sound of sleep while blowing through the recording at 8 times the normal speed. This took almost an hour every day. On the first day of the 3rd week, I finally heard something different. What I found was a shrill voice. It was the ring. I can't listen to it any longer. I can't listen to it long enough to even begin to transcribe it. I haven't let anyone listen to it yet. All I know is that I've heard it before, and I now believe that it spoke when it was sitting in front of my husband. And I don't remember hearing anything at the time, but for some reason, the voice on the recorder immediately brings me back to that moment. The thoughts that must have gone through my daughter's head make me very upset. I have not seen Rick since he ruined my life, but I know that he has been in my room while I slept. I know and fear that one night I'll wake up to see him staring at me once again. Alright, so that was our second story. I do hope you enjoyed. I will wait about a minute if anybody has a story that they might like to listen. Please let me know. Yeah. Alright. One second. I feel like I get turned around so much more easily when I'm just kind of sitting reading this than when I'm playing games. Maybe it's because I'm so much bigger on the screen. Alright. Next story. This one has a couple different posts, I think. Yeah, it does. It has a few different posts, but it looks to be a longer one. Actually, it might not be posts. It just might be separated into like chapters. I don't see any writer once again. Alright. Okay. Oh, hold on. I found who this was written by. Alex Hall. Okay. So, found it. Just took a minute. So, Ben drowned. We're going video games now. So, we're going to start Post 1, September 7th, 2010. Okay, I need your help with this. This is not a creepypasta, or a copy pasta. This is a long read, but I feel like my safety or well-being could very well depend on this. This video game related, specifically Majora's Mask, and this is the creepiest shit that has ever happened to me in my entire life. Having said that, I recently moved into my dorm room, starting as a sophomore in college, and a friend of mine gave me his old Nintendo 64 to play. I was stoked, to say the least. I could finally play all those old games of my youth that I hadn't touched in at least a decade. His Nintendo 64 came with one yellow controller and a rather shoddy copy of Super Smash Bros. And while beggars can't be choosers, needless to say, it didn't take long until I became bored of beating up level 9 CPUs. That weekend, I decided to drive around a few neighborhoods, about 20 minutes or so off campus, hitting up local garage sales, hoping to score some good deals from ignorant parents. You know, trying to sell their kids games. I ended up picking up a copy of Pokemon Stadium, GoldenEye, F-Zero, and 2 other controllers for $2. Satisfied, I began to drive out of the neighborhood when one last house caught my attention. I still have no idea why it did. There were no cars there, and only one table was set up with random junk on it. But something sort of drew me. You know, one of those things. And I usually trust my gut on these things, so I got out of the car and was greeted by an older man. His outward appearance was, for lack of a better word, displeasing. It was odd, if you ask me to tell the truth. I thought he was displeasing? I couldn't really pinpoint anything. There was just something about him that put me on edge. I can't explain it. All I can tell you is that if it wasn't in the middle of the afternoon, and there were other people within shouting distance, I would not have even thought of his appearance of approaching this man. He flashed a crooked smile at me and asked what I was looking for, and immediately I noticed he must be blind in one of his eyes. His right eye had this glazed over look. I forced myself to look to his left eye instantly to try not to offend, and asked if he had any old video games. I was already wondering how I could politely excuse myself from the situation when he would tell me he had no idea what a video game was. But, to my surprise, he said he had a few in an old box. He assured me he'd be back in a jiffy, and turned to head into the garage. As I watched him hobble away, I couldn't help but notice that what he was selling on his table. Littered across his table were rather peculiar paintings, various artworks that looked like ink blots that a psychologist might show you. No, something like that. Curious, I looked through them. It was obvious why no one was visiting this guy's garage sale. These weren't exactly authentic, aesthetically pleasing, as I came to the last one, for some reason, it looked almost like Majora's Mask. The same... Wait. Oh, yeah. The same heart-shaped body with little spikes protruding outwards. Initially, I just thought that since I was secretly hoping to find that game at these garage sales, some I'm not sure how to say that word. Freudian, Freudian, I don't know. Bullshit was projecting itself into the ink blots. Freudian, that's it, Freudian. Some Freudian bullshit was projecting itself into ink blots. But given the events that happened afterwards, I'm not so sure now. I should have asked the man about it. I wish I would have asked the man about it. After staring at the Majora-shaped lot, I looked up and the old man was suddenly there again, arms length in front of me, smiling at me. I'll admit, I jumped out of reflex and I laughed nervously as he handed me a Nintendo 64 cartridge. It was standard gray color, except that someone had written Majora's Mask on it in black permanent marker. I got butterflies in my stomach as I realized what a coincidence, and asked how much it was. The old man smiled at me and told me that I could have it for free, that it used to belong to a kid who was about my age, that didn't live here anymore. There was something weird about how the old man phrased it, but I didn't really pay any attention to that. I was too caught up to not only finding this game, but getting it for free. I reminded myself to be a bit skeptical since this looked like a pretty shady cartridge, and there's no guarantee it would work. But then the optimistic side of me interjected that maybe it was some kind of beta version or pirated version of the game. And that was all I needed to be back on cloud nine. I thanked the man, and he smiled at me and wished me well, saying goodbye then. At least, that's what it sounded like to me. All the way on the car ride home, I had nagging doubt that the man had said something else. My fears were confirmed when I booted up the game. To my surprise, it worked just fine. And there was one saved file, named simply Ben. Goodbye, Ben. He was saying, goodbye, Ben. I felt bad for the man. Obviously, a grandparent and obviously going senile. And I, for some reason or another, reminded him of his grandson, Ben. Out of curiosity, I looked at the save file. Eyeball. I could tell that he was pretty far in the game. He had almost all the masks, and 3/4 remaining of the bosses. I noticed he had used an owl statue to save his game when he was on day 3 by the Stone Tower Temple, with hardly an hour left before the moon would crash. I remember thinking that it was a shame that he had come so close to beating the game, but he never finished it. I made a new file named Link out of tradition and started the game, ready to relive my childhood. For such a shady looking game cartridge, I was impressed at how smoothly it ran. Literally, just like a retail copy of the game, save for a few minor hiccups here and there. Like, textures being where they shouldn't be, random flashes of cutscenes at odd intervals, but, nothing terrible. However, one thing that was a little unnerving was that at times the NPC would call me Link, and at other times it would call me Ben. I figured it was a bug, a fluke in the program causing our files to get mixed up or something. It was just odd. It did kind of creep me out a bit, though after a while, and it was around after I had beaten the Woodfall Temple that I regrettably went into the save files and deleted Ben. I had intended to preserve the file just out of respect for the game's original owner. It's not like I need 2 files anyways. Hoping that would solve the problem. It did, and it didn't. Now NPCs wouldn't call me anything. Where my name should be in the dialogue, there was just a blank space. Frustrated and with homework to do, I put the game down for the day. I started playing the game again last night, getting the Lens of Truth and working my way towards completing the Snowhead Temple. Now, some of you more hardcore Majora's Mask fans know about the 4th day glitch. For those of you who don't, you can Google it. But the gist of it is that right as the clock is about to hit midnight on the final day, you talk to the astronomer and look through the telescope. If you're on time, if you time it right, the countdown disappears and you essentially have another day to finish whatever you were doing. Deciding to do the glitch to try and finish the Snowhead Temple, I happened to get it right on the first try, and the time counter at the bottom disappeared. However, when I pressed V to exit the telescope, instead of being greeted by the astronomer, I found myself in the Majora's boss fight room. At the end of the game, the trippy, boxed-in arena. Staring at Skull Kid hovering above me, there was no sound, just him floating in the air above me. And the background music, which was regular for the area, but still creepy. Immediately, my palms began to sweat. This was definitely not normal. Skull Kid never appeared here. I tried moving around the area, and no matter where I went, Skull Kid always would be facing me, looking at me, not saying anything. Nothing would happen, though. And this kept up for around 60 seconds. I thought the game had bugged or something, but I was beginning to doubt that very much. I was about to reach for the reset button when text appeared on the screen. Reading. You're not sure why, but you apparently had a reservation. Instantly, I recognize that text. You get that message when you get the room key from Anju at the Stockpot Inn. But why was it playing here? I refuse to entertain the notion that it was almost as if the game was trying to communicate with me. I started to navigate the room again, testing to see if that was some sort of trigger that enabled me to interact with something there. Then I realized how stupid I was. To even think that someone could reprogram the game like that was absurd. Sure enough, 15 seconds later, another message appeared on the screen, and again, like the first one, it was already pre-existing phrase. Go to the lair of the temple's boss. Yes or no? I paused for a second, contemplating what I should press and how the game would react. When I realized that I couldn't select no, taking a deep breath, I pressed yes, and the screen faded to white with the words, Dawn of a New Day, with the subtext. I can't tell if those are eyes or ones or what, but it looks like it could be a barcode as well. Can't tell you. Beneath it, where I was quoted, to filled with the most intense sense of dread and impending fear I had never experienced before. The only way I can describe the way I felt here is having this feeling of inexplicable depression and a profound scale. I am normally not a depressed person, but the way I felt was a feeling that I didn't even know existed. It was such a twisted, powerful presence that seemed to wash over me. I appeared in some kind of weird Twilight Zone version of the clock tower. I walked out of the clock tower as you would normally when you start from day one. Only to find that all of the inhabitants were gone. Usually, with the fourth day glitch, you can still find the guards and the dog that runs around outside the tower. This time, all of them were gone. What replaced them was the ominous feeling that there was something out there in the same area as me, and it was watching me. I had 4 hearts to my name and the hero's bow, but at this point, I wasn't even considered for my avatar. I felt that I personally was in some kind of danger. Perhaps the most chilling thing was the music. It was the song of healing, ripped straight from the game itself, but played in reverse. The music would get louder, building up, as you would expect before something's about to pop out at you. But nothing ever did, and the constant loop began to wear on my mental state. Every now and then, I would hear faint laughter of the happy masked salesman in the background. Just quiet enough so that I wasn't sure if I was just hearing things, but just loud enough to keep me determined to find her. Looking in all 4 zones of Clocktown, only to find nothing. No one. Textures were even missing. West Clocktown had me walking on air. The entire area felt broken. Hopelessly broken. As the first song of healing repeated for what must have been the 50th time, I just remember standing in the middle of South Clocktown, realizing that I had never felt so alone in a video game before. As I walked through the ghost town, I don't know whether it was a combination of the out-of-place textures and the atmosphere and the haunting melody of the once peaceful and soothing song being butchered and distorted. But I was literally on the verge of tears, and I had no idea why. I hardly ever cry. Something had gripped me here, and this powerful sense of desperation that was both foreign and crippling. Yes, yes, spooky time. I tried leaving Clocktown, but every time I attempted to zone out, the screen would fade to black, and I would just zone into another part of Clocktown. I tried playing my ocarina. I wanted to escape, and I did not want to be here. But every time I played Song of Time or Song of Soaring, it would only say, your notes echo far, but nothing happens. By this point, it was obvious the game didn't want me to leave, but I had no idea why it was keeping me here. I didn't want to go inside the building. I felt that I was too vulnerable there to whatever I was terrified of. I don't know why, but I came up with the idea that maybe if I drowned myself at the laundry pool, I could spawn somewhere else and leave this place. Well, I'm glad the setting is perfect. Happy to hear that. As I zoned in and ran towards the pool, that's when it happened. Link grabbed his head, and the screen flashed for a brief moment of the happy masked salesman smiling at me. Not Link. Me, the Skull Kid screen, playing in the background, and the screen returned. I was staring at the Link statue from playing the song, A Legend of the Emptiness. I screamed as the thing just stared back at me with that haunting facial expression. I turned around and ran out and back into South Clocktown. And to my horror, a fucking statue followed me in the only way I can compare. This is like the weeping angels from Doctor Who. Every so often, at random intervals, the animation would play, the statue appearing behind me. It was like the thing was chasing me, or I don't even want to fucking say it, haunting me. But at this point, I was on the verge of hysterics. But not even once did the thought of turning off the console occur to me. I don't know why. I was so wrapped up in it. The terror felt so real. I tried to shake the statue, but it would literally appear right behind me every single time. Link started to begin to make weird animations. I never seen him do this before. He would flail his arms around her, spasm randomly, and scream with cut to the happy masked salesman, smiling again for a brief moment before I was face to face with that fucking statue again. I ended up running into the Sword Master's dojo and ran to the back. I don't know why, but in my panic, I just wanted some kind of assurance that I'm not alone here. To my dismay, I found no one. But as I turned to leave, the statue cornered me in the cubby in the back. I tried attacking the statue with my sword, but to no avail. Oh, thank you for the hydrate. Ah. Confused and backed into a corner, I just stared at the statue, waiting for it to kill me. Suddenly, the screen flashed again to the happy masked salesman, and Link turned to face my screen, standing upright, mirroring the statue, and looking at me, along with his copy. Literally staring at me. Whatever was left of the fourth wall was completely shattered. While I ran out of the dojo terrified, suddenly the game warped me to the underground tunnel, and the reverse song of healing queued up again. As I was given a brief moment of rest before the statue started appearing behind me again. This time, aggressively. I could only take a few steps before it would summon behind me again. I hurriedly made my way out of the tunnel and appeared in South Clock Town. As I ran aimlessly in sheer panic, I suddenly a re-dead screamed, and the screen faded to black as the dawn of a new day, and I appeared on the screen again. The screen faded in, and I was suddenly on top of the clock tower, with Skull Kid hovering above me once again. Silent. I looked up, and the moon was back, looming just meters above my head. But the Skull Kid just stared at me, hauntingly, with that fucking mask. A new song was playing. The Stone Tower Temple theme played in reverse. In some sort of desperate attempt, I equipped my bow and fired off a shot at Skull Kid. Yes, all of the spooky. And it actually hit him, and he played an animation of him reeling back. I fired again on the third arrow. A text box appeared saying, "That won't do you any good." And I was picked up off the ground, levitated upwards on my back, and then Link screamed as he burst into flames. Instantly, killing him. I jumped when this happened. I had never seen this move used by anyone in the game, and Skull Kid himself didn't have any moves. As the death scene played, my lifeless body still burning, the Skull Kid laughing, and the screen faded to black. You could hear only to have me reappear in the same place. I decided to charge him, but the same thing happened. Link's body was lifted off the ground by some unknown force, and he immediately burst into flames, killing him again. This time, during the death scene, the faint sound of the reverse song of healing could be heard. On my third and final try, I noticed that there was no music playing this time, and there was this eerie silence. I remembered that in the original encounter with Skull Kid, we were supposed to use the Ocarina to either travel back in time or summon the giants. I attempted to play the Song of Time, but before I could hit the last note, Link's body once again horrifyingly exploded into flames and once again died. As the death screen named its end, it began to chug, as if the cartridge was trying to process a lot of something. I don't know. When the screen came to, it was the same scene as the first 3 times, except this time Link was lying on the ground, dead, in a position I had never seen in the game before. His head was tilted towards the camera, with Skull Kid floating above him. I could not move. I couldn't press any buttons. All I could do was just stare at Link's lifeless body. Again, 30 seconds of this, the game simply faded out with the message, "You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" before kicking you out to the title screen. Upon getting back to the title screen and starting again, I noticed my save file was no longer there. Instead of Link, it was replaced with your turn. Your turn had 3 hearts, 0 masks, and no items. I selected your turn, and immediately when I was returned to the clock tower roof scene of Link and his dead body, with Skull Kid hovering over, and Skull Kid's laugh on loop. I quickly hit the reset button, and when the game booted again, there was one more save file added below your turn, entitled Ben. Ben's save file is right back where it was before I deleted it, at the Stone Tower Temple with the moon almost crashing. I turned the game off at this point. I'm not superstitious, but this is way too fucked up, even for me. I haven't played it at all today. Hell, I didn't even get any sleep that night. I kept hearing the reverse song of healing music in my head, and just remembering the same dread I felt exploring the clock town. I drove back to the old man's house today to ask him some questions with a buddy of mine No way was I going there alone. Fuck that shit. Only to find that there's a for sale sign in the front yard, and when I rang the door, no one was home. So now I'm back here writing down the rest of my thoughts and recording what happened. Sorry if some of this has grammatical errors and whatnot. I'm running on no sleep here. I'm terrified of this game, even more so now that I lived it a second time writing this all down. But I feel like there's still more to it than meets the eye. And that there's something calling to me to investigate this further. I think Ben is something in this equation, but I don't know what. And if I could get a hold of the old man, then I would be able to find some answers. I need another day or so to recuperate before tackling this game again. It's already taken a toll on my sanity. I feel like, but next time I do this, I'm going to be recording all the way through. The idea of recording only came to me towards the end. So if you see the last few minutes of what I saw, including Skull Kid and the Elegy statue, but it's on YouTube, here. Yes, all the spooky grammar errors. I'm going to stay in this thread for a little while longer before I fall asleep to answer any questions you guys might have, or hopefully listen to your ideas or theories to help me shed some light into this, or maybe things I should try to do. I think I'm going to play Ben's file tomorrow to see what happens. Maybe I was supposed to do that all along. I don't believe in paranormal shit, but this is a little fucked up. But maybe this Ben guy is just a really good hacker, programmer, whatever. I don't want to think about the alternatives if he isn't. In the end of the copy paste, I'm hoping that maybe this is some kind of running gag the developers had, and that other people had gotten gag or hacked copies of the game like this. This just really scares me. So we're on post 2 now. But there are a total of 5 posts. Oh? You're talking about a real life story? If so, you're free to share. Oh, damn. So what happened? I'm gonna actually look to see how long post 2 is. It's not terribly long. It's not as long as the first. 3 is not too long. 4 is pretty short. And the rest of the posts are pretty short after that. So I think we can get through this in one sitting. Well, if you don't want to share, that's fine. I'm going to start reading post 2. post to September 8th, 2010. I'm going to post what happened and link the video footage. But last night, everything got too real for me. I think I'm done messing around with this. I passed out pretty much immediately after making this thread. Oh damn, yeah, no, I can see why you'd run out of your house after that. That's pretty sketchy. Oh. Yeah, no, I can see why you'd be freaked. That would be pretty freaky. I passed out pretty much immediately after making that thread. But last night, the Elegy of Emptiness statue. Yeah, I bet. I had a dream about it. I dreamt that it was following me in my dream. That I would be minding my own business when I'd feel my neck hairs stand on end. I would turn around. That thing, that horrible, lifeless statue, would be staring with those empty eyes right at me, nearly inches away. In my dream, I remember calling it Ben, and never before had I had a dream that I could remember so vividly. But the important thing is that I did get some sleep, I suppose. Yes. Cookie Run featuring BTS collab. Oh, gotta love the spookiness. Today, putting off playing the game for as long as I could, I drove back up to that neighborhood to see if the old man came back. As expected, the car was still gone, and no one was home. You dreamed there was no? Oh, no tacos. Okay, I got you. That does seem like a sad dream for you. I know you like your tacos. Count Tacola. As I was walking back to my car, the man next door mowing the grass killed the power to his lawnmower and asked me if I was looking for something. I told him that I was looking to talk to the old man that lived here, to which he told me what I already knew. He was moving, trying a different avenue. I asked if the old man had any family or relatives I could talk to. I discovered that this old man had never been married, nor did he have any children or grandchildren through adoption. Starting to become worried, I asked one final question. One that I should have asked from the beginning. Who was Ben? The man's expression turned grim, and I learned that 4 doors down, around 8 years ago on April 23rd, oh yeah, I find it, yeah, I can see why you would definitely remember that. 8 years ago on April 23rd, the man informed me that it was the same day as his anniversary. That's how he knew the specific date. There was an accident with a young man named Ben in the neighborhood. Shortly after his parents moved, and despite any further attempts to talk to the old man to get more information, he wouldn't divulge anything else. I went back and started playing again. I loaded up the game, and immediately I jumped at the title screen where the mask flies by. The sound that played was not the normal whoosh sound. It was something much more high-pitched. I pressed start, bracing for the worst. But just like 2 nights ago, the files Your Turn and Ben were displayed. Truth be told, I looked at Ben's file earlier. It seemed to fluctuate between displaying the owl save and not. I brought up the Ben file, hesitated for a moment, noticing that the stats were not the same as they originally were 2 days ago. It seemed like he had already completed the Stone Tower Temple this time. Summoning my courage, I selected it. Immediately was thrust into complete chaos. Sure enough, I was outside Stone Temple, but that's about all that was expected. The zone itself wasn't called the Stone Tower Temple, but rather Stone. And immediately, a dialogue box of complete gibberish that I couldn't make out greeted me. Link's body was distorted. His back was cocked violently to the side, where his posture was permanently disfigured. Link's expression was dull, almost monotonous. He had an expression on his face that I didn't recognize before. It was a blank look, as if he were dead. As Link stood there, his body spasmed irregularly, back and forth. I examined what had become of my avatar and noticed I had a C button item I had never seen before. It was some kind of note, but pressing it did nothing. Alright, Jules, have a nice night. Bye. I hope you sleep well, sweet nightmares. Bye-bye. Sounds played back and forth, and I didn't recognize from the game, almost melodic in nature. And there was some high-pitched yip or some kind of laugh. Something had played in the background. Thank you so much. I had all of 2 minutes to take in the environment for another one of those fucking elegy of emptiness statues was summoned, and immediately I was cut into the dawn of a new day screen. Except this time, it was without the I subtext. I was a Deku scrub in Clocktown. This scene would be normally played after the first time you travel back in time. Toddle would say, well, what just happened? It says everything has, but instead of saying started over, she finished her remark in broken text, as the laugh of the happy masked salesman played in the background. I was put back in control of my character, but from a fucked up camera angle. I was looking from behind the door to the clock tower, watching my avatar run around as a Deku scrub. Seeing as how I really had no place to go because I couldn't see anything, I begrudgingly went inside the door. There, I was greeted with the happy masked salesman who simply told me, "You've been met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" Before the screen whited out. I was in Termina Field as a human again. I might as well not have been playing the same game anymore. I was being warped around, and there were no sign of a day clock or anything. I took a moment to get my bearings as I looked around the field, and immediately I could tell this was not normal. There were no enemies, and a twisted version of the Happy Mask Salesman theme was playing. I decided to run towards Woodfall before I noticed a gathering of three figures off to the side. One of them being Epona. As I approached them, to my horror, I saw the Happy Mask Salesman, Skull Kid, and the fucking Elegy of Emptiness statue just standing there. I figured maybe they were bugged out, but now I told myself that I should know better. Nevertheless, I approached them carefully and found that Skull Kid was playing some kind of idle animation on loop. Same with Epona, and the Elegy Emptiness statue was doing what they've been doing all along, just standing there eerily. It was the Happy Mask Salesman that scared me more profoundly than the other two. Yes, so spooky. And what do you mean by it was me? It wasn't me. Shush. He was too idle, wearing that shit-eating grin of his. But wherever I moved, his head slowly turned to follow me. I didn't do anything. You can't prove it. I had not engaged in any dialogue with him, nor was I in combat with him. Yet his head still continued to follow my movements. It reminded me of my first encounter with Skull Kid on top of the clock tower. I pulled out my ocarina, to which the game played the ding sound when you supposedly play your ocarina, and I tried a song I hadn't played yet. The Happy Masked Salesman's own song. And the song that had been playing on loop back in day 4, his Song of Healing. Why you gotta blame Sal for this? Sal, you hearing this shit? He's blaming you. I finished playing the song, and as I did, an ear-piercing shriek blasted on my TV. The sky immediately started flashing. The Happy Mask Salesman's twisted theme song spat up, intensifying the fear inside me, and Link exploded into flames and died again. The three figures stayed, lit up during my death scream as they watched my lifeless body burn. I can't describe to you how sudden and terrifying the transition from eerie to terror it was. You're gonna have to watch the video if you want to see firsthand that same fear that occurred to me, to lose 2 days of sleep. You wouldn't be surprised? Oh my god. Poor Sal. The same fear that caused me to lose sleep for 2 days started to grip me again as I was met with the text. You've been met with a terrible fate, haven't you? For the 3rd time. There has to be some kind of meaning behind that. I had time to ponder as I was immediately given another small cutscene of transforming into a Zora, and now I found myself in the Great Temple Bay, hesitant but curious to see what the game had in store for me. I slowly made my way towards the beach, where I found Epona. I wondered why the game had decided to put her there. Was the game implying she was trying to get a drink? Unable to take the mask off, I decided riding the steed wasn't the reason she was placed here. Suddenly, I realized that Epona kept neighing, and the way she was angled made it look like she was trying to signal a point, to signal a point me off in the distance. It was a hunch, but I dove into the bay and started swimming. Sure enough, I almost missed it though, but I found something at the bottom of the ocean. One last elegy of emptiness statue. I went down to examine it, and suddenly my Zora started doing a choking animation, and I'd never seen a Zora do that before. Which didn't even make sense because Zoras can breathe underwater. Regardless, my character choked to death and died. And again, the statue was the only thing that was highlighted in my death. I didn't respawn this time. I was booted back to the main menu, as if I restarted the console. The press start screen was right before me. I knew the only reason why it would put me here is because the save files had changed again. Taking a deep breath, I pressed start. And I was right. The new save file told me about Ben. It now made sense why the statue appeared when I tried to go to the laundry pool. The game must have anticipated how I would have tried to escape the clock tower on day 4. The 2 save files told me his fate, as I suspected Ben was dead. He had drowned. The game obviously isn't through with me. It taunts me with new save files. It wants me to keep playing. It wants me to go further. But I'm done with this shit. I'm not touching any more of these files. This is already too horrifying for me, and I don't even believe in the paranormal. But I'm running out of explanations. Why would someone send me this message I don't understand. I just get too depressed thinking about this. The footage is up here for those who want to see it and try to analyze it. Alright, sleep well. Sweet nightmares. Bye-bye. Maybe there's some kind of coded message in the gibberish or something symbolic in what I went through. I'm too emotionally and mentally drained to fuck with it anymore. I'm done. I can't. I'm now starting to question if I can get through this. Oh no, I know. I was saying goodnight to Ems too. I understand. I saw you react to the movie. No worries, I saw. Alright, so I'm gonna definitely read post 3. Depending on the time, I might get to post 4, but I don't know if I'll read any more. I might have to wait till Monday to finish. So whatever I don't finish here, I'll finish on Monday at the beginning of my stream. Just heads up. So if you want to hear the rest of it, definitely show up Monday. Post 3. September 10th. 2010. I know it's early in the morning. I've stayed up all night again. I just couldn't sleep. I don't care if people see this. That's not the point. I just want the word to get spread, so I don't suffer for nothing. I've lost the will to type about this. The less I dwell on this, the better. I think the video speaks for itself. I did what you guys told me to do. I played the Elegy of Emptiness song at the first prompt by the game I was given. But I think that's the game or Ben. Jesus Christ, I can't believe I'm even humoring the absurd idea that he exists in the game. But what do you wanted me to do? He's following me now. Not just in the game. He's in my dreams. I see him all the time behind my back. Just watching him. I haven't gone to any of my classes. I've stayed in my dorm room with the windows closed and the blinds shut. That way, I know he can't watch me, but he still gets me when I play. When I play, he can still see me. The game is scaring me now. It talked to me for the first time, not just using text that's already in the game. It actually spoke to me. Talked to me. It referenced Ben. It talked to me. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it wants. I never wanted this. I just want my old life back. Stuff like this doesn't happen to people like me. I'm just a kid. I'm not even old enough to drink yet. It's not fair. I want to go home. I want to see my parents again. I'm so far away from home here at the school. I just want to hug my mom again. I just want to forget that statue's horrible blank face. My original game file is back. Just the way I left it before the game. I don't want to play it anymore. I feel like something bad would happen if I don't, though. But it's impossible. It's a video game. Haunted or not, it can't hurt me. Right? Like, seriously, though. It can't. Right? That's what I keep telling myself, but every time I think about it, I'm not so sure. Alright. So, I think I'm going to cut it here at post 4. Because post 4 is a bit longer than post 3. So, we're going to end it there for the day. And we'll finish this tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, but Monday. That's it. Monday. Ignore me, I'm getting my days mixed up. Shush. Alright. So, let me find someone to raid. Who shall I am I not following? Hold on. There it is. Oh no, I wasn't. What? I didn't realize I wasn't following them. Okay. Sure, we can raid Jinky. Alright. Here we are. Alright, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Have a wonderful day, night, whatever fucking time it is for you. And as always, sweet nightmares. And we are doing a movie night tonight, so if you want in on that, that'll be very soon. Alright, sweet nightmares. Bye-bye!